Hey everybody, welcome to this Board Game Life episode number 82 titled Wayback Games. This is the show about games, board games, card games, anything else we want to talk about. I am one of your fine hosts for today. My name is Rob, and with me as always, I got my good buddy, Mr. Mark.
Hey Rob, how you doing this beautiful day?
How do you know it's a good day? You're a little far away. It is.
I'm
I'm not
I,
denying that it is.
I'm
Or is
here
it?
talking
Yeah.
games with my bestest bud. That's
that
that makes it a great day.
the, the finest day possible.
You know it.
I totally get it. I totally get it.
The only thing that can make it better is in-person gaming.
Oh yeah.
So,
Actually, that'll probably happen before we know it.
yep,
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
Yeah. We gotta we gotta start planning con number 2. Now that
Yep,
I think about it. It's getting to be about that time.
you're gonna have to bring a box of Italian sausages out with you.
In my carry on.
In your carry-on, yeah. Hit Portillo's at the airport and bag it up in a
Yep.
warm bag and put it on your carry-on and yep, deliver it to me.
Actually, right by the airport, they have an interesting little Portillo's now. It's a Portillo's that's like a to-go Portillo's only. I don't think
Oh,
there's any
really?
seating or anything. So it's really meant strictly for just um like those car services, Uber Eats and or delivery services for them or DoorDash, etc., or for people just to pick up.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's one way to minimize the footprint. Just do a kitchen and a drive-through.
There you go.
Yeah, because people
But that's
will eat in
gotta
their
be
cars. Yeah.
that's gotta be tough because I mean, it's not fast food. That place is not fast food.
Yeah.
So, I would hope they have, like, one of those new drive-throughs I've seen where it's like they have, like, 6 lanes and you pull
Oh
up and then,
yeah.
like, you sit there at the kiosk until they tell you to pull forward. And, like, they tell you
Yeah.
where to go to get your food, and then the next yeah.
No, I get it. Yeah. They they really streamlined the drive-through process. It's usually like the drive-throughs are usually backed up quite a bit and they have multiple people out there taking orders, you know, ahead of the actual,
Before they get
time.
there
Yeah, yeah, ahead of the actual like windows and stuff.
yeah,
So,
like Chick-fil-A does,
yeah,
because 'cause they're so
similar.
busy.
Exactly. So,
Anyways,
yeah. Anyway,
this
enough
food
about
blog
that.
life.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the anything else we want to talk about.
There you go.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can talk about what we've gotten to the table. I'll start off real quick. The new one for me is Under Falling Skies. So this one is one that I've started twice prior and just never had the time for it. So I basically just had to put the game away. And so I'm like, I'm gonna do it this time for sure. And it's a tough game.
Yes.
It's a tough game. Have you played any of the campaigns?
I
Like
did
those?
not
No?
no, I
Okay.
played let's see, I played the, like, first, like, intro,
Yeah, like
learning how to
the how to
play,
play. Yep.
which I did win, and then I'm like, "Oh, this isn't too bad." So then I think I flipped the board over to the hard side to try that. I'm like, "Let me try this before I, like, dive into a campaign."
Yeah.
Wow, it's like I couldn't get anything going. I just got
Yeah.
obliterated, and I was like, "Okay, maybe not." And then I ended up, putting it away to get it off the table, but I would like to pull that one back out and try to sit down and play through the campaign.
Yeah. That's what I want to do. Like I think maybe play the base maybe like one or two more times
Yeah.
and then from there just try the campaign because I'd really like to get the mechanics down so it's not clunky. Do you know what I
Exactly.
mean? Where it's like it can just flow and then I don't have to think about the rules as much
Oh,
or
absolutely.
which rules to break because I absolutely see why they did it the way that they did it because if it's more involved, like if it's got a story and the stuff is, let's say, tougher than the base game, you don't want to be thinking about like, well, how do these ships move?
Right.
Or, how does the, what exactly is the placement of the excavator or, whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you want to have that you want it dialed down, dialed in, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
But
you need to know
yeah.
all that to make sure it's a fun campaign because the campaign's gonna introduce things that you're gonna be learning
Hmm.
anyways. So, I remember
Yeah. Oh
with The
yeah.
Mandalorian, they were like, "You can open this packet now," and I was just like they're like, "Or you can wait till they tell you to," and I'm just like, "Well, I'm still trying to figure out the base mechanics. I'm not opening
Hmm.
this other stuff and throwing more at me until I've got the basics down."
Yeah.
That's another one I ended up packing up off the table, and it's like, "Crap, I need to get that one out and finish that campaign too."
Yeah. But yeah, so I played Under Falling Skies. That was like my main one, and want to get a couple more plays in with that, and then uh, definitely do the campaign. And I'll report back when that when that happens. How about you? What have you been getting to the table lately?
Well, I got a favorite of mine out several times,
Ooh,
and that is Finca.
yes, I was hoping you'd say that.
And I so I taught my mother and my aunt, and they enjoyed it. And then I got to play it last night with one of my uh, friends from my gaming group, and her and I played we added in the mini expansion that came with it, and so you have you replaced like two of the windmill tiles. One of them is a tax collector, and there's this little tax collector dude out on the board. So when you go onto that tile, you can move him to any territory, and then you take two of any resource, regardless of how many people are on that windmill tile. Um, and then the other one that you can put in is a you pick any food. It's like it shows all the foods on the windmill tile, so you can pick one of any of those. Um, and then with the tax collector, wherever he's at, if you're sending stuff to the donkey, you don't have to give the resources that the community is asking for. You can replace them with any other resource. They just have to still be like instead of 3 oranges, you could give them 3 figs. Still has to be matching, like that, like the number of the quantity of the items, and they still have to be the same. So if it's like 3 oranges and 2 lemons, you could give them 3 lemons and 2 oranges, or 2 almonds and 3 figs, or so it's like that. So it gives a little different opportunity there to do that. And then I think it's called the drought expansion. So there's some new tiles you can put in that for the regions that show like a negative resources. And what
Okay.
happens is when you just use your donkey cart to basically get the tile, but it doesn't, let's see how to, when you take that tile, then you remove two of every resource from the supply. So in a larger game, it's going to really start to impact um, the supply, and then people might have to start putting their stuff back if someone needs something because it's going to start to run out. So it reduces the supply of all items. And then there was also this action piece that you get that is called the marionette. And basically, if you can any at one time during the game, you can move on your turn, you can move another player's piece and gain the benefits of that for yourself. So, say you needed something and your people are positioned nowhere to allow you to do that, then you can see if one of the other players is set up that they can get to what you need, and you can use your marionette and move their token and then get the rewards for it. So, I thought that was kind of a neat little ability. And if you don't use it, it counts as 2 points at the end of the game. So, and then what I did see is there was a lot of other components that I hadn't used, and it's for advanced versions of the game, which gives you some additional like abilities that you can do, one-time ability that you can trigger in the game. And I haven't done those yet, but I think the next time I play, I'm gonna play with those in the game too to just mix it up and make it even more interesting. So, but I really enjoy Finca. It's a really fun game.
It's
Played.
a classic. There's a reason why it's like, I think, rated somewhere in the 400s still to this day, like 15 years later.
Oh wow,
Let me see. I was gonna look it up real quick. I know it's like a high rating.
it's a 226 for family and
Okay.
overall 849.
Okay. I was
So,
close. Close-ish.
but that's on the 2009 release. I don't know if it shows different because there was one in 2018 and that shows. Well, that one
Yeah,
doesn't
that
even
was
look
like
different.
it was like a remake, like a small reprint. I remember that one.
Is that the one that you have?
No, I have the one from,
2009.
yeah, I think it might have been a slightly later like reprint of the same thing.
Okay.
The one in like 2019, that one was like a redone one,
Okay.
I think.
So it's a great game. I really love it.
Yeah, yeah, great game by what, Ralph Zerlind and Wolfgang Sentker.
Yep.
Yeah, they both made some really good games like Pergamon and Animals on Board. Just a couple other ones that they made. Well, I don't think they made them together, but they made them separately. Anyway, please continue.
All right. So I finally got my copy of River Valley Glassworks 2 months
Oh
late,
yes,
but
yes.
it did show up.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Now you and I played this online, and I will tell you this game is so much better in a physical form. Like I think
Yeah,
most board games I think are, but
I agree. Yeah.
I've really enjoyed this game, and I've played with several different groups now, and it's been a hit every time. And I will say this about when I first opened the game, I was like, the box. So I'm unboxing this and I'm taking the lid off the box. And the first thing I was impressed with was like the quality and thickness of the box itself. Because some boxes are just so thin and flimsy. And it was like when I was opening this, I was like, wow, this is like a quality box. And then just all the components in it are really, really well done. I am very happy with the game. Now, if I had to nitpick something, you get these little character wooden tokens of your character, and they're kind of got a little square notch on the bottom, and they're supposed to stand up in this dual layer player board. And I think those things needed a little bit more of a cutting out on the bottom because they don't really stay standing up. A couple of them won't really don't stand up. So I think they needed a little bit better on that. Like that just doesn't seem to work very well for tracking your number of pieces of
Okay.
glass that you have. But again, that's a nitpick, and I think everything is just. I really do enjoy the game, and it's a lot of fun to play. And then yesterday, I got
Well,
to play.
one thing real quick about that is I'm really surprised at how heavy that box is for such a little box.
Oh, it is
Like,
heavy.
it's
Yeah.
it's got some good heft to it. So, all the components that are in there and everything, it's just surprisingly heavy.
Yeah. And everything fits, like,
Barely.
perfect.
Barely.
Yeah. Well, if you have the deluxe founders edition or whatever we got the sleeve that goes over the box. So when you put everything
Oh,
away,
yeah.
there is a tiny bit of lid lift, but you put the sleeve on and it's gone.
Mhm.
So no lid lift. I
It's
mean,
like
you can see it lifting,
yeah.
but
Yeah, it's like putting like a spandex something on top to hold the gut in.
exactly.
Yeah.
I know I can get these jeans on. Tuck it
Yeah.
in.
Uh,
But yeah, the first player token that I guess was one of the things that caused a delay. Man, that thing looks hand carved, dude. I that is like the coolest first player token I've seen on I think any game I have. The little
wait,
wooden
what was
bear,
it?
the first player token, the little wooden bear.
Hmm.
It's like a dark red little wooden figurine carved out of wood.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep.
It's even got his name like inscripted engraved on the bottom, and
Mhm.
it's really hard to see, but it's I'm just like, wow, this thing is really cool.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was thinking you were talking about, like, some flat piece. This is not a flat piece.
no, this is not. This is a good sized. It's not overly sized, but it's not
Mhm.
tiny. It's a nice, really well done first player
Yeah.
token or
Yep.
marker. So, but I really do. Oh, so then the game, at least the version that you and I got, came with like this little box, a deck of cards that included basically six. I think they call it like mini expansions. And what it is you can use one or two of these six expansions per game, and it's just something like they all play different. All six play differently, but it's like one of them is everyone will get a card that is a like, I think I can't remember what they called it, a lucky card, I think it's a lucky shape. So you have this card in front of you. So say I had hearts. So anytime I would play a heart-shaped gem to the river, I would get to take I think you take an extra piece of your choice from the lake. So it allows you to get an extra piece of glass. And then there's things like at the end of the game, if you've had, there's like they call it another something similar like that, but it's if you've got you get points for every one of this shape that you have in your glassworks. Then there's also like associates where you get a special power that you can take once during the game. So it's really neat because it really changed. I noticed it really changed the way I was playing the game. So I took one of the cards last night that said I gain 5 points for each column that has at least two or more of the same shape of glass in it. So then it was like instead of just trying to, you're working on filling your columns, filling your rows. Now it's like, okay, I'm also trying to drive up points by getting certain shapes in certain columns, and it really like changed the way that my game played. But I liked that. These little cards really do add a new mixture of how to play the game, and changed it each time with different cards. It was like I was playing things a little different. So I really, really love when a game can do something like that. I played Paperback. That I love the game, but I don't think that's you got to be careful on the group, the group
Really?
that you are playing that with,
Oh, yeah.
because the game can slow down. Um,
Really?
it
Is it
can
like a
slow down.
spelling issue or something? Maybe?
I, you know, I what I've come across is some gamers just take a little bit more time to plan out their move, and now they're trying to spell words. And I mean, there's been times I'm sitting there just like, what can I make out of this? And I think sometimes I'm just like, oh, I can't get a 7 letter word, but I can make this four. Just I'll take the four and move on, right? Try to get.
E
But some
every
people will.
everyone is cat.
Yeah, no, but some people
Yeah.
will. I think you call it like min max it. And they're like, "I'm
Yeah.
gonna sit
Yep.
here till I can find a 12-letter word that I can make,
Oh,
even though if it's not
jeez.
possible," you know? So that if you're not able to keep the flow of the game going, it can really drag on. So it's like, okay, this is not a good one for my group, but it is a really good game. Really enjoy that. Got to play Skyrise again. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, this game is so much fun. Um, I just it every time I play Skyrise and I see these little buildings on the board, and I am just so impressed with this game and the quality of this of the buildings, and just they look so good. And of course, I'm talking about the premium edition. Those buildings are amazing. Also played Can't Stop. Um, that's a fun little game. I got to play for the first time Raw. Um, Played that one for the first time as something I hadn't played before. And interestingly enough, the 25th Century Games is doing, or they just completed a Kickstarter for a reprint of this game. And I remember, like, initially it was like, this just doesn't seem anything that I'm interested in. But I was watching some of the playthroughs of this Kickstarter reprint, and I was like, this actually looks pretty interesting. And so I ended up backing it, and then it finished. I'm pretty sure that one is already finished and funded. But the I had the opportunity to play this Tuesday night, and 'cause someone in our Tuesday night get together was like, "Oh, I have these," and I'm like, "Ooh, you got Raw?" I said, "I'd love to learn to play that." Dude, that game's a fun game. I mean, I got my butt kicked, but I really enjoyed that game, and I'm really looking forward to getting my copy sometime next year. I'm super stoked about it. Have you played Raw?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple spin-offs like Ra the Dice Game. That one's pretty fun. There was another one too. Could have
Uh,
sworn.
they had another one in that thing. I didn't get the dice game, and I didn't get the. It was like Ratatouille or something, rat something, but it was like I think it was a card game with a rat stealing stuff or something, but it was supposed to be like Ratatouille or something. But anyways, yeah, the Raw game was just fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then,
it's a classic.
dude, that bag of tiles was huge. Like, I mean, that bag. When he set that bag of tiles on the table, I was like, "My gosh, it's gigantic, man."
Mhm.
So a very large bag, but really, really fun game. I really enjoyed it. And then,
So you actually like, a fair amount of, Reiner's games, right? Reiner Knizia?
I think that yeah, that's one of his too, right?
Yeah, 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 Ra yeah, he made Ra. It's like
Yeah,
his dude, Ra's like, what, 25 years old now or something?
1999.
Yeah.
Word game rank of 132.
What is
So
it? Oh, 132.
132 is the overall
Dang.
rank on
Yeah,
BGG.
yeah. Yeah, I'd be curious. There's like another game from similar time frame, Tigris and Euphrates. I wonder if you would like that one. That one's very dry though, but I would just be curious if you like that one. Anyway, sorry. Please continue.
So I'm looking through his list of notable games to
It's like
see if
El
there's anything.
Dorado, Quest for El Dorado. I think you like
Quest
that
for
one,
El
right?
Dorado. I have it, but I'm not really a fan. To me, that is just like a very easy game. Like it's a little seems a little too easy. Um,
Yeah. No, it is very much a lighter game
I think that's the only other one I've played of his. That can't be right.
because he's made like probably more games than anybody else, like a billion different games. Let's see if I can look him up.
I see in his list it
It's
says 751 to see all his top games. I can't. He hasn't done 751 games, has he?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, then maybe I've. It's gonna take a while to go through that
Yeah.
list, but
Yeah, I'm looking here. He did Schottentotten, which is Battle Line. That's a really good game. Ra, Lost Cities, Through the Desert, Samurai, Medici, Modern Art, Cascadero. That's his one. It was kickstarted this year. Um,
yeah, I know he is like very highly regarded.
oh yeah,
So, like I said, I'm not. I don't. I'm getting to the point I think where I'm like picking out like publishers that I do
yeah,
like. I'm
yep,
starting to recognize that, and it's. I think I'm to that point now. I'm gonna start when I see a designer name. It's like, okay, I know that they made this and this that I liked, and I'm gonna look into it. I'm starting to get to that point in the hobby where the designers of the game, or yeah, the
yeah.
designers of the game are becoming
The
important.
names are more meaningful now.
Exactly. So I'm
Mhm.
getting there.
Yeah.
So now the last game I played, this one's interesting because I played this a while back and I ended up rating this game like a one on BGG, which is like awful. Like, it's I
Really?
they what do they flag it as? I think they awful defies game description. And I'm like, everyone like loves this game. It's overall rated a 103. And I'm like ranked it as a one. I'm like, this thing was stupid. It didn't make any sense. Well, the guy that taught me Raw had Scout, and we did this as a warm up. And I was like, oh man, I started rolling my eyes. And he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I played this once before, man. This made no sense. This just seems stupid. And I'm like, but I'll try it. Well, I don't know what the difference was from the first time I tried to learn it, because the first time it just didn't make any sense. I just like, this doesn't make any sense. I don't get this. Like, what's the freaking point? But the other night, it just like, oh, okay, like, how is this such a problem? I ended up going back and rating it a seven.
Nice.
So I jumped from a one to a seven on Scout,
Yeah.
just after one game, after just well playing it the second time, and I
Yeah.
just don't know what it is about the first time, about like why was this not clicking? Because this was not a hard
When did
game.
you play it? When was the first time?
Um, I can
Long time ago, or
not
I mean,
not too
it
far
doesn't.
back. I mean,
So
within the
couple
last
months
year.
ago. Okay.
No, say within the year.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but still, I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, how could I go from just despising this to enjoying it? Um, I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
don't.
people get in moods, where it's difficult to pick something up.
But it's the thing is, it's not a hard game. Like, I don't. But I don't know. I think some days maybe it was a tough day. Maybe my brain was just like I couldn't take anymore. Or maybe we had played a couple other games, and this. I'm trying to remember if I think this rounded out our night. I don't think it started the night. So maybe I was just like I couldn't take in any new info. I don't know. But I'm happy to say that I enjoyed it enough that I ordered it, and it arrived today. So I have a copy
Nice.
now, and it'll go in my bag for my game nights. When I go out to my group, I'll have a nice little quick fun little game. But it was just interesting how we really, and it just a reminder to me not to judge a game by its cover, by the story of what it claims to be doing, especially with Scout. Like, this has nothing to do with what they quote the theme is or what you're supposed to be doing. Um, because you're supposed to be putting on a circus show or something, and I'm like, that's not what this is. Like, you know, I guess you could say what you want. It's just numbers. It's just a
Right.
card game. But it is a lot of fun. It went quick. I enjoyed I just enjoyed this game a lot. So really happy that I gave it another shot. So um, I guess that's my message to people is if you played something you didn't like it the first time, and give it another shot because the first game is always going to be rough because you're trying to learn something, and especially if you're getting blown out
It's
and
a
or
learning game.
it is a learning game, and
Yeah,
that's why I'm
yeah.
like, my mother was like, I congratulated her the other day. She won, I think it was Skyrise. And she's like, well, only because you told me what to do. And I said, well, I'm teaching you. I'm like, what good? I said, how much fun would you have if I sat here and obliterated everybody at the table that I was teaching? I said, that makes me a bad teacher.
No, I
And I
heard
know,
that that's fun to lose every game.
yeah,
Just
because
saying.
I've had that. Like I've had people try to teach me something and they just destroy me. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
like, why? Like, what are you doing? You're trying to teach me. You basically at the end of it, it's like, I don't want anything to do with this game again because you didn't really teach me. You just proved to me that I suck, you know, and you get another win, but was it a win? Because, I'm like, I lose a lot. And it's like, it's not about that. And I'm always
Mhm.
telling people, well, especially because it seems like we're always teaching. Um, Last night was nice because there really wasn't a teach to it, to the games we played, but it's not about that. And I was like, I don't care that you won. I'm glad you did because I'm like, that means I taught you well, And she's like, well, I'm still
Yeah.
confused on this. And I said, okay, what questions do you still have afterwards? And then we discussed it afterwards. It's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. And I was like, okay, well, next time, I won't be as helpful, but I'll still help because it's, my mother and I just want her to have fun. But she did enjoy the game. She just was a little confused on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like so if you don't enjoy it, consider, hey, did you have a good teacher? If you didn't enjoy it, but it's like this game, which I always just starts in my head, how can this game be so highly regarded when I thought it was so bad? You know, well, I went back and tried it again with a different, like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Go ahead and teach me. And boom, it just clicked the second time around. So,
Yeah.
and absolutely was like, wow, this, okay, now I get it. This is fun. So don't judge them on the first play. Always go back
Oh,
and give them the
absolutely.
second time. And there's a game I have that I'm trying to remember what it was. Like Brass Birmingham, I played, and I'm like, mm, I don't know because I was struggling understanding it. But it's like, okay, guys, the guy that has this. I'm with several people that have it. I'm like, we're gonna play this again. So I will call on you guys to bring it back to game night, and I do want to play it again
Because
because you got to give
there's
it
a
more than that one
reason.
time.
Yeah, there's a reason why that game is, like, regarded as such a great game, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So,
Just
but
gotta see it.
that's what I played. So had a really
And
good, not as big as the list
yeah,
normally is, but I had
yeah,
a lot of fun. I got some new stuff, some of my favorites in now, some
quality.
new favorites. Yeah, quality. So
Mhm. And I was gonna make a quick mention while you're talking about, like, the teaching of games. Like, I find when I'm teaching a game, I really don't have the time to strategize myself very
right.
well. So, there's a lot of times where I actually lose the games, and not necessarily even on purpose, but it's like I lose the games because I'm so busy explaining everything, and then I'm just taking moves to be quick
Yep.
that, it doesn't work out in my favor, but and that's fine because it's still fun.
Right. And I don't have a problem with someone new learning or winning the game and getting that excitement of because that also helps them have an interest to play it again. And it's not like I'm
Yeah.
setting them up. I'm not setting them up and making sure they win, but by me teaching them how to play. And if they win, then then obviously what I taught was a winning strategy or
Mhm.
a winning
Yeah.
move. And it's not like I'm tanking my play. And I'm not saying you're doing that, but yeah, it's like, When you a good teacher is going to worry more about their pupil, their student having a good experience and more about them learning and understanding than how our own game is,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
And
it's
and
like
that's exactly right.
you want to be able to play that game again with that person, not just to be one and done, crush them. At that point, why did you even play?
Yeah, they're never going to play it again.
Yeah, it's like playing an NBA basketball game with a kindergartner. It's like
Right.
there's no chance. And well, maybe for me, there's no chance that I would win still, even with a kindergartner, but that's a whole different story. Anyway, oh,
All right.
nice. Good quality list. So, moving on to the topics or topic for this show, uh, I thought it'd be pretty cool to talk about some of the games that we enjoyed when we were young and, kind of just discuss what we liked about them and maybe even special memories and situations that we had with them. You wanna start off with let's alternate. Although I
Okay.
think you got a couple extra.
These
Maybe
are
just one more. Yeah.
okay. And there's nothing.
No order or anything?
No, there's not. There's just a couple of. I was trying to think about what I played as a kid, some things that kind of
Mhm.
stuck out.
Yeah.
And one that I remember playing as a kid and loving, and I couldn't even tell you how it played to this day, but it was a game called Uncle Wiggly. Um, I
Sure
don't
that
remember
wasn't
any
your
really.
neighbor?
I just remember that board game and it being a favorite of mine when I was a kid, but don't really know how it plays, what it is. This is one of those, games were very different too when we were kids. You know that they
Yeah.
weren't like the industry today.
Oh, yeah.
So I think there's probably not a whole lot. I'm sure there's not much to the game, but probably rolling a dice and moving a piece, and that was probably it. I don't know, but it's something I always remember. I just don't remember the game that much. I just remember the name of it and remember it was something I enjoyed.
Nice.
How
Um,
about you?
my first one that I'm gonna talk about is an oldie but a goodie, and for some people, it's still a goodie at the halls, but, it's bingo, and, this was one of the first games that I actually learned. For me, it was probably checkers and bingo, maybe. I don't know if there's a card game in there, but, this is just something that I had this, bingo game that I got for a present, and I used to play it with my grandma all the time. So I'd always, like, con her into playing with me, and she almost always obliged and played, so and that was one of the old school ones too that had all of the, like, the balls in this thing that you spun. Actually, no, that was the later one. The one that I initially had these discs, these small little discs that went into this contraption, and you would spin it, kind
Oh
of like you're
yeah.
sharpening a pencil, kind of,
Uh-huh.
and then those little discs would slide out. So that's like maybe the smallified version, so there isn't like a big ball thing, but yeah, it was just, an awesome game, and it had the little cheap plastic see-through discs that you would use to cover up the things, so you're not daubing anything with a, marker or a pen or anything, you're just covering the numbers with these discs, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. I still think of it fondly. Haven't really played bingo in person in probably a billion years now, although I may have played Price is Right bingo on my phone within the
Yeah.
last couple months, but that's a whole different story. But, yeah,
Microsoft
bingo. Yeah?
Microsoft, you can get a bingo game. It's a Microsoft software one that's really good. I don't know if you've played like some of their
No.
modern games, but they have a
But
bingo
some of
game I
them,
remember
yeah.
playing that was like freaking awesome. It was really cool.
I'll have to check it out.
Um,
Are you playing against other people? So there's like Like some
I
time
think
element or
I believe so. Yeah, I think
okay,
I believe that, it's been a while since I played it,
okay,
and in fact, let me see if it's in my, I don't see it in this one. 'Cause I have a Microsoft game collection, solitaire and casual game collection that I keep up because 'cause I'm always playing Bubble, but, yeah, they have a bingo game, and, if I recall, it was what do you call it? I think you were playing against other people because like yeah, because it was pretty fast paced because you would put a it would put a like a letter and you had your board and you had to collect it and there was like if there was more to it than just like dabbing your number. Um there was, kind of like these modern games they've add stuff into it. Um but I'll have to see if I can find that for you. I want to send you the right one. But I'll figure it out. I think it
okay,
look for it in there, probably in the Microsoft Store,
okay,
because it was one of their games, so that I would play on Windows. So, but anyways, cool. All right. So my next one is sorry. This was a fun little game. You drawing cards, and you move one of your four pawns out of your start space all the way around the board up into your home to your safe zone, and some cards would make you move backwards. Some could make you like switch, so you could be like at the one space away from going into your safe zone, and then someone can basically swap their piece with yours and reset you back and put them closer to their safe space. And there's a lot of different variations of sorry out there today. Sorry sliders, my kids loved that when they were
oh
younger.
yeah, yeah, mhm,
So there's I still have one. It's sitting on my shelf. I don't have the sorry game, but I've got the it's this big giant red pawn, and it's an electronic version of sorry, but it's like a card game and the thing talks to you. And it's very funny. If you get a chance to play the sorry the big red pawn game, I have to see what that's actually called. I just call it the big red pawn because it's this big giant pawn
yeah,
that's it's
mhm,
oh sorry card revenge is what it is. So if you ever get a chance to pick that up or play it, dude, the the audio from this thing is pretty funny. You hit the pawn on your turn and it'll tell you like what to do. And sometimes he's like, "All right, go ahead, play a card, any card." But then sometimes he's like, "Take 7 cards." That's right, 7 cards. And it's very humorous. The voice, the audio is really good in the game. It's it's fun. It's kind of like the if you've played like Uno Attack or something where it's just you hit the thing and it'll just randomly spit out. Sometimes you get 1 card, sometimes you get none, sometimes you get 12.
yeah,
It's kind of like that. It's but yeah, the Sorry Card Revenge is the one I still have, but the old school Sorry I remember playing that a lot of times back in the day.
oh heck yeah, yeah. We still have sorry sliders. I think there was a Cars version too, if I
Probably.
remember right. Yeah, but yeah, that's my son's treasure. All right, so my next one is a game called Dragonlance. And this is a game that I actually still have. It followed me all these years. And it's a D&D game that I thought was like the coolest thing cuz it went on this big board and it was three-dimensional. Like oh, what's that? Not is it HeroClix? No, not HeroClix. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. It's that game that Avalon Hill had for a while with the terrain, and then they canceled it like 10 years ago, and they're talking about bringing it back now. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Not
No.
Hero Quest. I'll see if I can remember it. Anyway, So, uh, it had really great table presence, and it was basically like you had like a group of dragons, and you were fighting against somebody else that had a group of dragons, and you had to capture the dragon lance somewhere on the map and basically retrieve it. Meanwhile, you're being um, fought by your opponents that are trying to do the same thing. So it's kind of like, one of those, where you grab the flag and you kind of bring it back, capture the flag. Is that what it's
Okay.
called? Yeah. Yeah. So your opponents are trying to attack you, trying to steal it. And it was just so much fun. And this is one of the older games, not older, but one of the games that I got while I was a little older, not as young. And I thought it was like so cool. So that's Dragonlance by
Hmm.
was it was it probably TSR at the time? Yeah, TSR. Yeah, I just looked it up. So old school D&D stuff. But yeah, Dragonlance. How about you? What else you got?
I got to throw the classic out there, man. Shoots and ladders, baby.
Yeah.
I remember, even though like you're trying to go from the bottom of the board to the top. So the ladders, you're trying to land on the ladders to climb up. And I remember there was one that was like really tall. You can move way up, but then like you'd hit those slides and they'd slide you back down. And there was, even if you fell down, I remember it still was fun. Was like I'd always move my little guy like wee, like he was actually sliding down. So there was still that fun part of it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, the classic.
Yep.
I think that's probably a game every kid has probably played. At least
Yeah, for sure.
you're excuse me, from our age group.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my next one is a game called Sunken Treasure. I don't expect anybody to know this one
Yeah.
whatsoever, but that's a game that I got. Man, I was like sometime in elementary school, and the way it is it's this battery operated game contraption that had a spinning motorized disc at the bottom, so it was inside like a box kind of. And then inside of that, you would put these little coins. So there's these little metal discs. They look like the balloons, right? They look like, buried treasure kind of. So you put those in there, and then you have this little magnetic probe with a wire attached to it. And what you're trying to do is through these little slots in the top of the game, you're trying to put your little magnetic probe in there so you can snag the money and then pull it out without hitting this little metal sensor around the opening. So think of something along the lines of Operation,
Okay.
but without tweezers.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's very much probably like an Operation ripoff of some sorts. But the thing is, so like if you touch that coin, it'll stick to the little like magnetic wand. And then now you're trying to pull it out without touching the sides. If you touch the sides, then there's like a buzzer that goes off, and then the whole bottom uh that's hidden spins. So now it's like you lose your coin, and then like all of the coins are now shuffled per se. And yeah, and then when you get the coins out, if I remember right, I think you get money. It had like paper money with it, but it was a fantastic game. It was exciting. It had the tension of not having, not touching the sides, and, having the dexterity of a kid
Hmm.
or an old man like me. It's like you're not so good with dexterity. So
Oh no, not me no more.
yeah, exactly. But it was just so interesting, fun, little exciting, little nerve-wracking trying to pull out that coin carefully when maybe you're not as nimble with your fingers quite yet. But Sunken Treasure, that's my third one that I've talked about.
All right. So my next one, I'm going to give you a little hint, Rob. Colonel Mustard with the candlestick
Monopoly.
in the conservatory.
I would have to say Clue. Yep. I think everybody knows them. Everybody can identify those.
Yeah. As soon as I said, you should have had it as soon as I said, I'm going to give you a hint.
Yeah.
Because isn't the hint the same as a clue?
Yep. Let
I
me
almost
give
said,
you
I'm
a
going to give you a
clue.
clue. I almost said that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've played this with my kids, and now you can buy Clue. It much like Monopoly. Clue comes in like Clue the Office version, Clue Scooby
Yeah.
Doo, Clue the the
Yep.
Top Gun version. It's like really.
Mhm.
So, but that was I always like that. I guess that was my first introduction to deduction games, and I'm not a fan of deduction games, but I do love me some Clue. That's I played that even not too long ago with the kids, and it's still fun. That one might be a little bit of
Nice.
nostalgia part as
Oh,
part
yeah.
of part of the fun, but why not? That's
Oh,
okay.
absolutely. Yeah, my next one is a game that maybe was, I don't know, too old for me at the time, but, it sure was so cool. It was a game called Tank Battle, and this was something sort of along the lines of Stratego, but you had tanks. And I thought they were, like, so cool because they're like little plastic tanks, with a
Uh
little
huh.
turret on top, and I wanna say that the turrets could spin. So, um, it wasn't just a solid tank itself, but, you kind of, moved your pieces on this grid, Stratego style, and there were some other, pieces of terrain, like, I wanna say, like, an ammo dump or, like, some kind of, like, headquarters or something, but, that you also had on there, and, it was just basically, take your pieces across the board, and there was some kinda strategy to it. I don't remember what that strategy was, but I know there was something to it, and, it was just a lot of fun, and it looked cool on the board because you had, these tanks, and there was, like, a pegboard too. I really don't remember what the purpose of the pegboard was. Probably somehow, to track movement or something. But, yeah, that was so my next one was Tank Battle, so a very cool for the time, uh, tank game, probably, similar to, like, a very, very, very light version of, Memoir 44, which, is cards and stuff. But yeah, Tank Battle that was a lot of fun. Loved that game so much when I was little.
Cool. Next one for me was Payday. And I think this one was fun because it was like you had a job. It was like it's like a kid's version of being a grown up. You had a job. You were getting paid like every 2 days. So that the board is like a calendar month, and you'd roll your dice to move to the certain day of the week, and different things happen on different days. On certain days, you'd get paid. Some days you'd get mail. So it was like, ooh, what's in my mailbox? You'd open up the mail card to see what. Sometimes it was a bill. Sometimes it was a good thing. And I just remember this, like, kind of like always feeling like a grown up playing this. Um, and if only life was really as easy as it was in a game of Payday.
Yeah.
But it was always a fun time, That's one that I think I saw it not long ago. I think they did a re-release of it. Like a was it Milton Bradley did like was re-releasing some like old games like that. Like I remember seeing Risk and like in the original boxes too. They were redoing some of these like with the original artwork and stuff, but I didn't pick it up.
Okay. My next one is actually it's my final one. This is probably once I was a little bit older, this is like the fondest game that I had. And I still have it, the original version. So it and Dragonlance. I still think I have my Monopoly game, my original chess set,
Hmm.
Dominoes, and Tank Battle. I still have that. I still have all of these.
Wow.
But Dungeon was to me like a classic D&D board game. It came out like in the mid 70s in its original version, and you just played, a particular character. You were going into the dungeon. It was 100% roll and move. Uh, the board was like really kind of colorful. It had like, little caverns and hallways and stuff. And then you moved your little pawns because that's all they were, just like very
Yeah.
basic pawn pieces, nothing special. Production quality back then, extremely basic. Like the rules came like on a folded sheet of paper. Like I don't think there's any drawings on it whatsoever. It was just text and plain dice. But man, this game was so much fun. And the cards that came with it were like extremely basic as well. But I just remember uh, playing the heck out of this game. It was so much fun. Now we'd probably look at it and think it's like, oh man, this thing is just like Snore City. But back then it was like so cool because I loved Dungeons and Dragons at that time, and it was just D&D was like the new thing. That was where it's like on the news they had the news stories like,
The
you
Devil's
know,
Game.
yeah, the kids are being you know made to devil worship because they're role playing or something like that. We laugh about it now,
Yeah.
but yeah, Dungeon was just so awesome, and I haven't played it in years, in like so many years. And they did come out with a a remake of it within the last 10 years. And I was looking at it and it was kind of like a little bit of a letdown in terms of how they had it, where it was like standees instead of the pawns.
Right.
And I remember looking at the standees and it's like a little gust of wind can like knock him over. And it's like, well, yeah, it looks cool to see an elf, but you know, I would be really annoyed if it's fallen over all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually never got the reprint. And who knows? Oh, you dude, Awaken. This is the next Awaken Realms project. This has got to be after Puerto Rico. They got to redo Dungeon and deluxify it. But yeah, probably my all-time favorite game from when I was up to teenage time was Dungeon. So good stuff. Very fond memories.
I wonder how many emails a day they get from gamers going, "Please do this game next."
Oh, like yeah, Awaken Realms and those
Yeah.
other companies. Yeah,
Oh, I'll hit them up and go, I need a reimagining of Uncle Wiggly."
yeah. There you go.
Um, all right. So my last game is actually a card game that I would play. I was introduced by from my grandfather on my dad's side and my great grandmother when I go down to visit with my dad in the summertime. While he was at work, I would hang out with my grandpa and my great grandma, and they would they he would go get his mail in the morning, go grocery shopping, and go over to my great grandma's and would play cards with her. And they always played this game called Spite and Malice. And I think this game's probably known under several different names, but it can be played competitively, or you can do it like team based competitive. So if you've got four players, you can team up. And what it is, it's you have everyone gets a it's three decks of cards all mixed together. So what is that? 104, 156 cards, regular playing cards, and everyone gets a pile of like 20 cards face down, and then you end up with I think a hand of cards. I want to say like maybe five, but the object is to kind of like solitaire. You can place aces out in front, on the middle of the table, and you are building the pile up from, I think it's ace to queen, because I think kings and jacks are wild. I'm sorry, kings and jokers are wild. But then so you're building up from ace to queen to end the pile. And what you're trying to do is basically on your deck of cards that's all flipped down, you flip the top card and you're trying to play that card. You're trying to get that deck of 20 cards gone first to win. And then but you have to have there has to be an ace to play. And then you can play once there's and you can only have four of them out there. So there's only at the max four piles. Even if you have an ace in your hand, you can't play it until one of the piles are cleared. So and then you can have like kind of like solitaire. You can have four rows of cards in front of you that you can just use to discard, and you would stack them one on top of each other, just like in solitaire. So if you put a 10 down and then you put like a two over it, well, you can't play that 10 until you get that two off of it by playing that two out somewhere else. You can't move the two to one of your other columns. So, and then what's fun is when you're doing team based, like, if you're sitting across from your teammate, like four people, you can play cards that they have played out and playing off of their deck. And in a team game, you both players have to clear their pile of 20 cards. So it gets really fun because I'm like, oh, you play this, I'm gonna play this. Oh, now play your top card. And it's just a fun game. It's really good. And it's just three decks of cards. So it's very inexpensive. It's a lot of fun. And I knew it grew up as called Spite and Malice. So
Yeah,
super fun.
I just looked it up. There's been a couple versions of this, and apparently it came from like the 19th century. So it's like an old game. And Skipbo, Flinch, and Da Capo are all based on it, on the original. So there's a Hasbro version from like 20 years ago too.
Oh, look at that. I looked it up on BGG.
Yeah.
There is a Spite and
Of
Malice from
of course it's
Hoyle
on there.
Hoyle Products, which who makes playing cards. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
oh, it's a two deck, two player version. No, yeah, you got to have the you got
Yeah.
to play with three decks, and you want more than two player. But yeah,
Look up the
the wait, there's
2002
one.
version. Yeah.
I
Or actually the
I
2002 version is 1.4.
This is 1972 version. This is all I saw when I. How'd you spell it? Oh, there we
Spite
go. And with the
and
and,
the
I do
symbol.
the N, like just the letter N,
Oh,
spite
yeah.
in mount, but this is spite and. Okay, 2002 version. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Hasbro Parker Brothers. So
If you can't beat him, annoy him. That's what it says on the box. Yeah, 2 to 5 player.
so and
Oh,
somehow there's Uno cards in here some in the pictures for some reason.
Yeah.
I gotta love that. But this
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
like this is not anything like it's probably yeah, from the 19th century, but I think I would just rather play with regular playing
Cards.
cards.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
can. Yep.
Yeah. This whole thing with the cats and stuff on it, I don't know why they
That's
have
just
that.
that's just the way to sell your version. That's all.
Right. Oh, in fact, there on that Spite and Malice page from 2002, they do have a video on how to play showing the regular cards.
Okay.
So there is a 4.5 minute video on how to play it. So all right, but yeah, great games from the childhood, man.
Oh, yeah. And, and then today we're making great games for the old hood. It's like where we can go, remember back in the day when we played those games? No, I'm not talking about the junky games when we were kids. I'm talking about the games when we were old, but not as old as now.
Yeah. We'll be back in my day when we played Skyrise and Castles of Burgundy. The
Yeah.
reprint.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
All right. What?
I would well, yeah. I was just thinking like, do you think you enjoyed gaming, like playing these games as a kid? I think it's good. I think this question can't really be answered, but do you think you enjoyed that gaming more than you do to your gaming today? Because the games are more simple and fun and you played with family and friends, or do you enjoy the more challenging stuff of heavier weight games and the just more modern games, or is it just not something that you can too hard to compare because of our age at the time?
Wait, you mean enjoying today?
I don't know what my question.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to I guess what I'm trying to say is do you think
Oh, I
do
see.
you
I think
enjoy
it's your
gaming more today than you did when a kid, or did you enjoy it more as a kid?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, to answer that particular question, um, I would say that my motivations to play games today came from a similar drive when I was little because
Okay.
I really enjoyed the activity. It was a lot of fun, you know, and that's what I have today. It was like a social thing to do, and it was fun, and it was also competitive, and all of the above. So I want to say for me, it's very similar. Although, you know, now I don't necessarily have to go to Toys R Us to get my games, and there's a
Well, you
heck of a lot
can't.
more expensive games. Yeah, that's true. Couldn't go there even if I wanted to, but actually I could. But it's a Harbor Freight now. And they don't have games. Actually, they might have something. Who knows? They got lots of stuff in there. But yeah, I think the motivation is the same, just on a different scale,
Right.
maybe. Anyway,
All right.
so all right, is that about it for episode 82?
I did want to just did you, I was going to ask, have you gotten anything new in lately?
Um,
We haven't
yeah,
talked about games
lately,
that are
yeah,
added to our collection in a while, but
yeah. The only things that I got new are looking here. I got River Valley Glassworks that we talked about. And then I also snagged a copy of Rock Hard. I found
oh,
that at that one game store, not the blue one, the other one.
okay.
And
The one you the name should
yeah,
not be mentioned.
yeah. And so I found it there, and I'm like, "Ooh, you're coming with me." So that was like a couple of days ago. It's still in the shrink. I haven't had a chance to even open it yet.
Yeah, there's quite a bit when you open it. That's I think one annoying I have with that is that the box it's just an empty box. You got to figure out how to throw everything back in once you're done. that's a fun one to try to put away.
Oh, geez.
But the boards are cool. So the amps. Okay. So what I already mentioned, Scout River Valley Glasswork are both new to my collection, but I did pick up. I finally, after over a year old, got one of the very first Kickstarters I ever backed. Finally, showed up yesterday. It was finally delivered. It's called Survival of the Fattest, and it's like this game that you are trying to you pick like a woodland animal or creature, and it plays over seasons, 3 seasons. So you're playing through spring, summer, and fall, and you're basically trying to collect food for your critter and make recipes so that you can survive hibernating in the wintertime. And kind of that's kind of what the gameplay is. And you can kind of hose other players over by filling their putting traps and stuff into their stash and things like that, or into their hand or something. But I will probably try to sit down and play it this weekend, and kind of do a run through, learn how to play. But it was nice to finally get a long overdue Kickstarter game, to show up. And then another game that is set to be here tomorrow. I finally decided to buy Wonderland's War. I bought the
Nice.
premium edition with the premium chip upgrade, and it's. I've played this one. A friend of mine has it. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. I was telling her last night. I'm like, I don't know why I bought this because I can play. I'll probably play the game with her anyways, and she's got it. But it's just like it's one of those. It's so nice. You just kind of
Yeah.
want it in your collection type of thing,
Yep.
So,
I get it.
but and I can say I was telling her. I said, well, at least if I never play it, I have played this game a couple times, so I can say I didn't really waste my money because
And
I've played
you
it, even
didn't
though it's still a
soil,
waste of money.
yeah, you didn't soil your version with nasty fingerprints or anything.
Exactly. I can keep it in the shrink.
It's pristine.
So, but that's set to arrive tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice, nice.
So, opening that and putting it up on the shelf and displaying it for a week until the next new thing shows up, and then the box gets shifted sideways so something else can sit facing front.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
that's it. That's all
So is
I
that
got
it?
this
All
week.
right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. So that's it for episode 82, the Wayback Games episode. I am Rob. Thanks for listening, everybody. Catch you all in 2 weeks with episode 83.
And I'm Mark. We'll see ya all later. Bye.